What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 6, episode 19, and the episode is titled Townhall Downfall. And maybe that's exactly what it was. Let's jump right into this review. So we start this episode off with Mel and Marceau. They are still going back and forth with each other. We have Marceau sitting up here lying through his teeth, saying how he's so supportive of Mel and his wife having a friendship when we all know that that is a lie. Like, sir, you have been throwing jabs at Mel for a very long time at this point, so I'm going to need for you to be realistic about the entire situation. So then Marceau, he went on to talk about how, there are small businesses out here that ain't really doing nothing. Whose small business are you talking about? Because Mel's is actually making money. Are you talking about the fact that Kimmy and Maurice supposedly have a business and maybe that's not doing anything? Who are you trying to diss? Are you trying to diss Martell on the slick? What's going on here? Because the things that you're out here throwing out, it doesn't apply to Melody. I'm sorry, not for her case. Baby girl is selling out all the time with her products. Her song was on the iTunes charts, you know what I'm saying? Like, be for real. But nonetheless, Marceau also, to me, he continues to shoot himself in the foot, right? Because you are sitting up here talking about what business you value and what you don't value. But what kind of businesses do you think that the people in your audience are having? They probably have skincare lines. They probably have hair care businesses, just like Stormy. They probably have a t-shirt line or any other type of small business. Why are you trying to be so judgmental on what classifies as a business? And I feel like that's another reason why he tried to, minimize what Nell does. Oh, you own a daycare? Because he thinks that that's beneath doing real estate and him being a general contractor. So if you think all these businesses are so beneath you, why do these people need to come to your expo? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But nonetheless, Mel, she ends up questioning him about like if they cut themselves a check. Because Mel, she calls him out for saying that, her business basically ain't doing nothing, but y'all wanted her to speak at the expo without a payment. And I absolutely am on Mel's side with this. How is it that you're trying to call out my business, call it a t-shirt business? Oh, it's so small. However, you were practically begging and pleading for me to stay on board and for me to give you guys basically my following, because you know that when Melody's name is on something, people are going to show up. And also, you wanted me to give out my expertise for free. Stop playing with her. Because when Melody brought up the fact that her company made $1 million in a year, he made another jab. And that was, oh, but you filed bankruptcy. I'm sorry, but she filed bankruptcy because of her divorce, and Martell was trying to play her out and make her be stuck with all the debt. So that's totally different than your situation, which she had to throw a jab back. She's like, listen, you have a $5 million lawsuit against you, and you filed bankruptcy because of your finances. So again, stop trying to play on her. Like, it is so frustrating to watch Marceau because he does this continuously, especially to women. So honestly, this argument that they have going back and forth is getting completely ridiculous because he continues to be belittling to Mel and tries to make it seem like, oh, she only does e-commerce. And then she's like, I still do the same thing that I put you on. I still do property preservation. So why are you sitting up here playing with me? And his response was, oh, I didn't know that you still did that, Mel. I mean, every time I look up, you're doing something new, so it's just like you're trying to throw things at the wall and make it stick. Really? Are you serious? It's called she has an opportunity to expand her brand and have multiple streams of income. Something that you do, right? Because you have the Scope Company, and you also have Black, and you also have Chocolate in a Bottle. Same things you doing, right? So it's cool when you do it, but not when Mel does it. Okay, we see you. So now this man is over here talking about some, oh, the Fletchers, they embellished what was said. They ain't embellished nothing. You just mad because Melody has caught wind of it and now you have to explain yourself. Actually, I don't even think that you're mad at it. I think that you love the fact that you are sitting in Mel's presence. I'm pretty sure of it. But nonetheless, she basically told him that it was a disgrace for him to try to devalue her business acumen, and it was absolutely a disgrace. And now he's like, I'm not going to throw jabs anymore or whatever. And she invites him to this town hall that Kimmy is throwing, right? Now let's slide on over to Tiffany, y'all. We see Tiffany and Big Lou. They have a little picnic. Lou has a new job at his alma mater as a coach for the baseball team. And Tiffany, for some reason, wants to hold that against him. Girl, your life was already busy before you got this baby. You are the person who added the baby. Remember, that was you. He didn't beg to have another child. That was all you. And the fact that you're sitting up here telling him how he needs to work less, maybe you need to work less because you've mentioned that you've gone back to work already. So maybe you need to slow down with the work and focus on home. Like, I'm sorry, but I am completely annoyed with Tiffany at this point. I'm not going to underestimate her postpartum depression because she clearly has that. But it's like you can't blame your husband for giving you exactly what you wanted. Now, one thing that I will point out is that when she was in her confessional, she did say that she realized that she had a fantasy about what life was going to be with the baby. And yeah, girl, that's not the life that you got. So she's going on and on about the things that she needs, how she has to take the clothes out the dryer and take the dishes out the what's it called, dishwasher. Girl, that's things you was gonna have to do regardless. Why aren't your two teenage sons helping you out with that? Is that not a part of their chores? Because it should be. Come on now, make it work for you. And another thing, Tiffany, where's your village? Like, you need somebody around you besides just your husband. Y'all have money. You can afford a nanny. I mean, not a nanny. What is it? Like a night nurse or, somebody who can help you out. Go find that, please. Because it seems like you need some outside help. Now, out of nowhere, she's like, I think about how you might leave me for somebody else. Girl, don't nobody want Lou. Nobody. Come on now. You thought somebody wanted Lou besides you? Why would you think that? Well, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. Because clearly it's somebody who's interested in Marceau and we see what he looked like. So you know what? Just know that Lou knows where home is, okay? He told you that. But besides that, what annoyed me was the fact that she brought up the fact that his dad wasn't there. Girl, that's a total different situation. Lou is not a deadbeat like his father was. And also, you sitting up here saying that, oh, well, I don't want you to miss out on things with the baby, blah, 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 blah. Like Lou said, that baby ain't gonna remember this. Kids ain't got a memory of what? Till about the age of 4? Please, Tiffany, stop grasping at straws. Go sit your behind in therapy. Go visit a doctor to see if there's something we can do about balancing your hormones and get you some help. Please. Because clearly Lou has a job. Like, do you want him to quit his job and sit at the house with you? Or is it that you forgot what life was like when you had an actual infant and you want him to deal with the baby so you don't have to? I'm just curious, Tiffany. Just curious. But nonetheless, y'all, we gonna go ahead and move on. So we gotta get to this town hall meeting, okay? Because the cast is slowly trickling in, right? And Stormy, when she saw Marceau, she went on ahead and sat right in her seat. She turned her body around. She was not speaking to this man. Keep in mind, this is the first time that they have seen each other since the Expo. So Marceau, he opens up this meeting about how he had a conversation with Mel. And baby, one thing I will say is that when he mentioned that, I looked dead at Tisha's face. Tisha had no idea that her man had met up with Mel. Now y'all know how Tisha feels whenever this man meets up with Mel without telling her. She be about to have a damn conniption. But back to Marceau. he decides to tell everyone how he met up with Mel and how, he basically feels like the only reason why she's able to sell her products is because of the platform. Of course, we know that the platform means the TV show, versus someone who's like Stormy, she had already sold products before the platform. And Martell, he decides to jump on in and say that no, a lot of the stuff that y'all do will be considered irrelevant then because y'all have created multiple businesses after you got on the platform. So Martell, he goes on to say that any business is relevant and even told a story about how, he had a grass cutting business. And everything that Martell said in that moment, it was very valid. Any business is a business and it's relevant, especially if you want people to come see you at an expo. And also, the point of the expo was not only to hear y'all speak, it was also so these other smaller businesses can intermingle with each other. Maybe they can partner and work together. You know what I'm saying? It was more than just about you, Marceau. And that's what you fail to realize. But nonetheless, Mel ends up walking in, and everyone, they're like questioning if Marceau apologized, in that meeting. And she's like, he did apologize or whatever. And then she goes on with suggestions. I mean, Mel was ready out the gate to actually give them some feedback. Like, she told them multiple ways of how they can make the event better. So Stormy, she's like, what else we could have added was a little bit more motivation. Like, I feel like a lot of times people, they don't really have the funds to go do this and that, but they just need at least a starting point. And Marceau, he basically shut her idea down. And of course, now Stormy got a little attitude. And I wouldn't be, upset with her about that because Marceau, you did not even hear her out fully. So Mel, she jumps back in, and I think what she was trying to do was bring the focus back to the event. So she gives an example of how they could have incorporated Stormy's idea. You know what I'm saying? And Marceau, oh, he was eating it up, probably because it came out of Mel's lips. And Stormy, she leans over to her husband, is like, so if I have anything to say, I guess I'll tell you to say it. So then Marceau, he tries to be slick and circle back to Stormy, the idea that he had just shut down, and was like, oh, well, now I want to hear from not Stormy, I want to hear from Courtney's wife. Again, we have to minimize the women. I need for him to stop doing that. So Courtney, he's like, yeah, I need for you to let Tisha talk. So the tension is really thick at this point between all these people. Courtney and Marceau, they are throwing jabs back and forth at each other because Courtney said that Tisha needs to lead the meeting because she's more organized than Marceau. And Marceau, he says, well, unlike other marriages, we don't have gender roles in ours, or whatever he said. I'm like, y'all marriage absolutely has gender roles in it. Stop playing. So because the men are going back and forth, Kimmy decides to jump on in, and she's like, Marceau, this ain't the way you should be handling this, especially considering you supposed to be taking notes and all of this. And I'm just like, girl, this man don't like women. Because at the end of the day, Marceau, he tried to belittle Kimmy and everything that she had to say. And I'm just like, good God, Marceau. Do you ever give it a rest and just not have a comeback? So now he wants to get back down to business, and he's like, I'm taking in all of everyone's feedback, this is so we can use this for next year or whatever. And here's the thing. When he's saying we, he means me and Tisha. Marceau and Tisha will be having an expo next year. The Black Business Expo. And all of y'all will pretty much play the same role that y'all did last time. I'm asking y'all for feedback. I probably want y'all to speak on a panel next year. I'm still not gonna pay y'all. And that's how we gonna rock out with that. Now, Kimmy, you should feel like a fool. Because you the one who held this stupid meeting. And this man basically plans on minimizing your role even further the next time there's an expo. Do you hear how crazy that sounds? because y'all came together as a collective thinking that this will be an expo where everybody is involved, and not really. It's just to help the Scots 1.0 out. So in Stormy's confessional, she's like, listen, I could have stayed at home for this if I would have known that we were just going to give them feedback so that they can move forward with another expo without the others. And Mel, she's talking about how, hopefully next year things will be better. Because y'all already know Mel is still on that positivity, right? So she's like, I hope things will be better, things can be more organized, and maybe she'll participate. Oh, why she say that? Because now Tisha want to pipe up. And she's like, oh, you thought it wasn't organized? Oh, now you have something to say, Tisha. Like, your husband was doing all that yapping earlier. You didn't try to stop him. You didn't try to say, hey, let me tell you my opinion. You had nothing to say. You've been sitting on mute trying to calculate and figure out when did Marceau have time to meet with Melody. And once Mel opened up her mouth, that's when you have something to say? Girl, get over it. Mel does not want your man. But nonetheless, Tisha, for some reason, feels like the only conversation that needs to be had as far as feedback is on the actual event and not on the things that led up to it. And Mel is like, no, you need feedback on all of it. And I absolutely agree with Mel. You cannot just jump to the end product. You need to go back a few steps and figure out where you went wrong before we even got to the main event. For example, you should have been asking your vendors for $100 prior to the day of. Yeah, think about that, Tisha. But nonetheless, Mel's like, I gotta get up out of here. I got a flight to catch, right? So Marceau, he goes on to talk about how he values what everyone has to say there. And Tiffany, she questions him like, oh, you even value what the women say here? Y'all, why did he say, I know you're not used to being valued, but you're valued here? I would have gotten up and slapped him, because if anybody is undervalued in that room, it is your wife. We have never seen Lou disrespect Tiffany the way you have disrespected Tisha. We have never seen Lou chastise Tiffany like a child. We have never seen him belittle her and make her cry. Those are all things that you have done, Marceau. So who's really being valued? Because if we want to be technical, you and your brother, y'all both don't value your wives. So Tiffany, she comes back and she puts a little bit more bass in her voice, and she was like, no, I'm surprised that you're valuing what women have to say. Like, that's surprising that you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are valuing it. Anybody else, I believe she can believe it, but not with you, buddy. So Marceau, he has to respond or whatever. I can't remember what he said, but Stormy, she's like, damn, he's Mr. Let me get the last word. So then she goes on to say that Marceau is acting like a bitch, and that's what they do. Oh, Marceau heard her and was like, well, I am one. So she's like, yeah, I know. You a bad one, huh? And Marceau's like, yeah, I'm a big bitch, all this stuff. And here comes Maurice. Why would you say that? Why would you? Maurice, we don't need you to come save your brother. Please stop. Like, why are you trying to involve yourself? I get it, that's your little brother, but I think he can handle it. Nonetheless, Marceau, he ends up calling Stormy Sweetie to be condescending, and now that's a whole issue. So Marceau, he says that, we know who not to invite next time. And Courtney, he like, don't worry, we ain't coming. Now, one thing that annoyed me was that after the fact that Courtney just said that they're not coming, here comes Maurice and Kimmy talking about, why would you not come? Are y'all dumb? Like, why do y'all keep trying to jump in where it's not needed? Especially if y'all have nothing valuable to add to the conversation. Like, not why would you not come? It should have been, hey, you guys, like, we just want to try to make this expo better for the next time. Let's stop veering off and get back on topic here. Oh, but don't worry, because here comes Marceau because he decided to say, oh, well, they're not needed. I said, they're not needed? No, you needed Stormy. Please, let's not play games. When Mel left y'all high and dry, you know that you needed somebody who can make the people come out. And Stormy has a legit business that is thriving. Therefore, you needed her following. You needed her supporters to come out to this damn expo. So Courtney, at some point, he chimed back in and he basically said that the whole thing wasn't organized. And here comes Maurice. How was it not organized? You had a booth and everything. Maurice, please stop trying to save your brother. Please. Because at the end of the day, your brother will leave you hanging out there. I don't understand why you keep trying to save him. This argument has nothing to do with you. We don't need you to add your 2 cents into the conversation because this is the same thing that you did when it was a conversation between Big Lou and Marceau. So Stormy, she has to put her 2 cents in. Is like, listen, I was not begging to be a part of this at any given point. Y'all asked me to be included. And I said, I know that's right, because let me tell you about Stormy. She wasn't begging to be a part of this like Nell. Nell is over there begging and pleading to be included. That was not Stormy's thing. So Maurice is like, well, oh, because Stormy had brought up the $100, right? And Maurice is like, well, you didn't know that the vendors had to pay? And Stormy was like, your wife didn't even know. And he looks over to his wife. He looks over to Kimmy and says, you didn't know that? Nigga, she told you that she didn't know that when y'all was over there bike riding. Are you crazy right now? You are so busy trying to cape for your brother that you are willing to turn your back on your wife and act like really nobody knew this information? Maurice, get out of our face with this, please. So at this point, Stormy and Courtney, they are ready to go. When they decide to leave, Marceau decides to throw another little jab, calling them Mr. and Mrs. Steele. Like, dude, you already know that that is her maiden name. That is her name for her business. And you need to let it go. Like, he is so lucky that Courtney plays it real cool. Because even though, you know, Martell and Melanie, they are not together anymore, Marceau would not be able to play with Melanie like that. Because y'all know, even though Melanie can handle it, at a certain point, Martell would have jumped in on his ass by now. Especially if they were still together, he would have jumped in on him. I even think Big Lou would have jumped in on Marceau. Everybody would have jumped in on Marceau at this point. Because he keeps doing it. And he thinks that it's funny, and it's not at all. But nonetheless, y'all, we gotta move on because we gotta get to this Kimmy and Nell situation. First things first, what the hell is going on with Nell's wig? That shit was so woo-wopped on the top of her head and then had the audacity to be cocked to the side. I said, what is that? Nell, you have got to do better when it comes to the hairstyles, okay? Now, one thing that I wanted to point out before I get into this conversation, I could not figure out who Nell looked like. I'm like, dang, she looks so like a put together mix of somebody. And I figured it out. Y'all, she looked like Portia Mama from Real Housewives of Atlanta mixed with Miss Pat. Have y'all ever seen the Miss Pat show? She's like a comedian. I think it comes on BET Plus. It's giving a mix of those two women, all in the face area. But nonetheless, let's jump into the conversation. So Kimmy basically invited this woman here so that way she can tell her in her face that she had the town hall meeting without her. And Kimmy goes on to explain that she wanted the opinions of the people who actually attended the event, and you can already tell that Nell ain't feeling it. So here's the thing. Nell, she feels like she should be the grand dame of this show. It is very clear. Especially when she sat up there and told Kimmy, well, you know, I've been here in Huntsville longer than all of y'all. AKA, why am I not the grand dame of this show considering I'm from Huntsville, I've been here for 30 plus years, I actually have a business. Baby girl thinks that she needs to be the queen. And I'm sorry, Nell. I think that you may have passed the age limit of what they were looking for when they were casting for the show. I'm sorry to tell you, Mel, but you just kind of surpassed the age requirements, okay? But nonetheless, Nell decided to tell Kimmy that it was not her call to say that she shouldn't be invited to the town hall meeting. However, Kimmy was like, well, it was my meeting. So, she only wanted people that actually attended the event to have an opinion. And honestly, I can't even be mad at that because Nell is over here talking about oh, well, you don't think I can bring value to the conversation. Girl, what was you going to say? Was you going to sit there and be quiet for moral support? Like, what would be the point of you being there? But I get it, Nell, because now you feel slighted not once, but twice. Because these people are really playing in your face. And here's why I'm saying that. Kimmy basically told her the same thing that Tisha and Marceau told her. When it came to Tisha and Marceau, they first said that the reason why they did not invite this woman was because she had a relationship with the Holts and they weren't really rocking with her, even though they invited Mel to be a part, number one. And then also, they plain out told these people, oh, we're going to make sure that you're invited, and did not personally invite them. Okay, now we get to Kimmy. You sat up here and told this woman in her face that you were going to invite her to the town hall, but when it came down to it, you changed your mind. And also, while you were sitting in Nell's face right now, you mentioned, oh, it's because you got into it with Tisha, so I didn't want to invite. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So I get it, Nell. Your feelings are probably hurt. But if I really think about it, y'all, I think that Kimmy made a statement in front of all the ladies because, all of them were there. Like, oh, yeah, I think we should have a town hall, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think she was really extending the invitation to Nell in the first place. Nell just happened to be there and heard the information. But y'all, let's just go ahead and move on to broke ass Martell. He is meeting up with his business partner, Fred, I believe that's his name. And he brings up them filing for bankruptcy in his confessional. And I'm just like, what does got to do with anything? Talking about, so it messed up my credit, so I'm trying to rebuild now. Okay, Martell, if that's the excuse that you want to use, we're going to let you use it. According to him, now he's in a better place. So Fred, he over here so proud of Martell because he went to go get the permits. I said, nigga, you skinning and grinning because he went and got permits? Can he go get his license, please? Because I think that that's a valuable asset for him to have instead of him just going to get some damn permits like he an assistant. Anyways, Chris Fletcher shows up and he questions Martell again on when he is moving out because 2 weeks done already passed and Martell is still over here trying to bribe some more time. So Chris is fed up with Martell when it comes to him getting out of that house. And then they move on to talk about Marceau. Oh, I'm sorry, because what's his name? Martell says that he has a place and that he just need about a week and a half. Y'all, we gonna see by next episode if that man moved out. But nonetheless, they start talking about Marceau and how, he didn't invite the Fletchers to the expo. And according to Chris, they did get some sponsorship money, but they wouldn't say how much it was. And Martell is like, yeah, well, that's crazy because that was all Mel's idea. So now Martell, he's being very vocal about why Mel should have been paid to speak at the expo. And Chris, he decides to bring up the fact that Marceau, he was being shady, talking about he didn't know that the Fletchers owned a business. And he also was being messy, saying how he owns Scout now. Oh, why he say that? I said, Chris, why you tell Martell that? Because now he hot. It's already hot out there in Alabama. Now he dripping wet with sweat because Marceau done said something crazy. So Martell is going off because at the end of the day, Martell is not lying when he says that it took Melody and Martell to get the Scotts where they are today. That's Scott 1.0 and Scott 2.0, if we really want to be honest. It took them having a vision and a dream of getting on TV, and that is how they got where they are as far as having black, having chocolate in a bottle, and whatever other side businesses that they're trying to do. However, even when it comes to them having Scout, the business that Tisha has 85% ownership of, half of that name was Holt. So don't try to minimize and downplay what these people have actually done for you. Like, that's one thing I do not like about Tisha and Marcel right now. They think that they're the big dogs, and it's annoying because Mel and Martell, they got a divorce. So now y'all think y'all the number one couple. No, you're not. And at this point, I don't think there even is a number one couple on this show. There isn't one. Like right now, I think a lot of people are rooting for Stormy and Courtney, and that's because they're going against Marcel and Tisha. But there's no number one couple on this show. And it's crazy because when you flash back to that first season, he was the main one talking about we're not trying to be a power couple. Sir, get about our face with this. But y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, share my video, subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.